Hello one, hello a lot of you. It's the most, fedora ghost of them all. And, it's time for a review of Xiu Xiu.
Sean, what the hell are you doing?
Well, you know, I thought I'd do the review for you. I mean, you got a lot going on. I mean, you work during the day. Why not?
Yeah, I don't need you to do my reviews, Sean. This is my passion. This is my life. And I would appreciate it if you would just stand over there. Anyway, hello one, hello all. It's the gothiest ghost of them all, Casper in the flesh. And it's time for a review of Xiu Xiu 13. The art pop and experimental music outfit Xiu Xiu is back once again, and this decade they've been very consistent with releases, even if I haven't been too crazy about their latest output, but their back catalog is absolutely fantastic, such as Fabulous Muscles, Women as Lovers, especially in the 2010s that absolutely blew me away, with the absolutely disturbing Girl with a Basket of Fruit, Forget, and also their covers album of the late great Nina Simone, and also the great classic, excellent David Lynch classic series, Twin Peaks. So we fast forward to now, and even though, again, I haven't been too big on their trajectory as of late, in this decade, I'm really loving this new LP right here. And I was certainly ready for the album too, and of course they release it again on Polyvinyl. And this album is certainly going into different stylistic territory. Even though they've done noise pop in the past on their first album, they are returning to it once again, but this time I would say they're bringing more additions here, bringing more life to it, getting more adventurous while adding Neo Psychedelia. And honestly, they're still pushing the oddity. Like, Jamie is more bizarre than ever. The band is more freakish than ever. But I think people may have a hard time in getting into this once again, but I see the beauty in the oddity. It's certainly catchy at points. Jamie sounds very unnerving. He sounds deeply disturbed here. And I was actually listening with my partner, and she was like, yeah, I mean, I like the instrumentals, but the vocals just ain't it. Which is unfortunate. And look, I could see how people could be turned off by Jamie's vocals. But if you look into the theatrics, if you look into the performance he brings, the acting he brings, like the unhinged delivery, and appreciate it for that. If you could appreciate it for that, like Xiu Xiu fans like myself and alike, that's basically what we go for, along with the very unsettling, morbid poetry. But I feel if you could get with that and understand it, you could love the vocals. But if we're looking at it from like a measured, hitting the notes perspective, the traditional perspective, I can see why people wouldn't be into it. And the production here does have beautiful melodies, even catchy melodies. Very chaotic, very noisy. As Jamie delivers these quivering, harrowing vocals, like he's really keeping that vibrato, that iconic, very horrific, in a good way, bravado, with these blood-curdling screams, and absolutely neurotic rantings on the closer. Fantasy, 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 you are mine, you are mine. Like, granted, I've heard some chilling music this year. I've even heard very chilling music from Xiu Xiu itself. But I feel on this one, Jamie really out-freaked himself here. And I will admit, the opener though is kind of tame. Not really anything mind-blowing, but I do admire the contrast here in comparison to the closer. But things really do turn up a notch. Actually, numerous notches on the second track, Maestro 1 Chord, that features these almost barked falsetto chants that I feel bands like Fat Dog kind of started, but I feel Jamie put his own twist to it. Like, you gotta hear it to believe it. Which play off the instrumental really well, and also Jamie's inhumane, black metal growls that he throws on here, which shows in terms of creativity, Jamie has not let up, and simultaneously showing his intricacy as well as his ferocity. On top of that too, there aren't too many guest features here. I mean, there are appearances from Angela of the band on this album, but no guest features. It's pretty much just Jamie and Angela, which I feel they do some excellent vocal layering on the track TDFTW. And even though I feel the opener could have used more development, something to build up the track more, feels a little bit too quaint, too slow paced, not too much fire in the tank. I admire the contrast of how manic and insane and basically out of his mind Jamie sounds on the closer. And as I read into the lyrics, they're very obsessive, very deranged, which is a situation where we get these love proclamations, but really it just sounds like possessiveness, like someone who comes off as someone who is entitled to this person's love, with these maddening screams that I can't help but be frightened by every time I hear them. And believe me, this isn't the first time Xiu Xiu's music has had this effect on me, and traumatized me in a good way, Like, there's something very terrifying but uncomfortable, but I get enjoyment out of. I don't know, I might be crazy, who knows. And again, the last track does play into the opener in a thematic respect, as the opener seems to be speaking of a person of Jamie's romantic interest, his self-loathing, or this person's self-loathing. The thing is with Xiu Xiu is sometimes you don't know what perspective Jamie is speaking from unless it's absolutely known. And lyrically, this album is filled with a lot of bizarre themes and concepts that I'm honestly still trying to wrap my head around, and I know I keep going back to Girl, a Basket of Fruit, but I feel it's bringing me back to that place. Like, it's definitely bringing me back to that disturbing territory that they once were on that album. And Pale Flower, which has some really bizarre poetic lyrics, like you could wipe the excrement off a rainbow into a rag. What? Not only that, but also while Jamie is speaking on pessimism, of madness, self-loathing, like absolute mental doomerism, regret, I would say sonically there are bright moments that are, dare I say, enthusiastic, happy, and the sound of the record I'm truly in love with. It's sporadic, it's intense, it's bright, it's full of life, it's also tension building. There's moments where the bass is roaring and has a lot of sonic elements with a very jarring personality that just coalesce and culminate to a very dynamic track. And I love how the inclusions, the embellishments, form these sudden tight grooves, but they do have their disturbing quirks to the songs. Like Maestro 1 chord, as I mentioned before, has some of the most eccentric, distorted, spoken word vocals on the entire record, along with some add-ons that sound kind of infantile, or certain embellishments to the track where I feel like I'm in this orbital headspace. But while I'm in this orbital headspace, I'm having this outer body experience, along with these blaring synth lines. It's definitely a nice contrast of dense and heavy bass, but light production. And again, I love the barking falsettos. And I wouldn't say the appeal or the catchiness comes from the hook, but comes more from the melodies here. And again, makes for some of the most odd but creative moments in Xiu Xiu's discography. I love how bright, heavy, and powerful Common Loon is. It feels so ominous, but yet so blissful. It definitely creates a juxtaposition of ominous, but also beautiful, and also uplifting. And the production has like these swelling bass tones, distorted, bubbling arpeggios that feel they're just like popping and dissipating in my mind as I listen to it. Also, the roaring drones are very haunting, and certainly a nice touch. And the lyrics are definitely cryptic. I'm trying to see what's happening here. I feel Jamie is speaking on something that can't be changed, but also there's something enticing here, like he's trying to entice someone. But I must say, this track is so addicting. It has a sweetness to it, but also a harshness to it. I also love the sense of immense disparity and confessional nature of Veneficium. There's certainly a lot of harrowing conviction here, especially with the vocals. I love how primal the drums are, how sinister and organs the keys are here, with some sick grooves. There's also a vast sense of disbelief in Jamie's delivery, like he's just like in awe of something, like he just can't believe what's going on. Not to mention how roaring and wailing the track is, and how certain parts of the track are a call and response to each other. Like it's its own beast, but haunted by these alien ghosts. I feel Xiu Xiu has a knack for bringing intensity, energy, and something you could dance to at the same time, while Jamie shares these deep, troubled character portraits. Sleep Boulevard, I feel, is the most confessional track here, with these nice builds, heavy pounding drums that are hit with these shots of bright synths, very eerie but beautiful woodwinds. There's also something motivating about this track too. But lyrically, I feel again there's something grim here. Like there is morbidity. Something is happening here that Jamie is in deep regret of, which I could tell due to Jamie's unsettling, pained vocals. So I feel there's something sinister going on here, but also Jamie is in acceptance of it. There's also the song The Devil Forgiven, That's Why, which is easily the most relentless song here, the most adrenaline pumping in the track list. Great chilling group vocals, as I mentioned before, from Angela and Jamie. Like they really have great chemistry here, and the tension, the fear building here, it's very nightmarish, and it's something you look for in a Xiu Xiu track, and you get it. And Pina Coconut Cherry, as I mentioned before, delivers a very highly memorable but terrifying ending. And in terms of gripes, there are moments here where the vocals sometimes don't really mesh well with the production, leaving a very unflattering mix. Weird instrumental fade outs. Jamie's vocals at times awkwardly stick out. But other than that, Xiu Xiu is showing great dynamics here. Great intricacy, great songwriting. I love it. Definitely one of their best in a long time. Bringing new elements, still sounding disturbing and haunting, and I can't get enough of it. Absolutely loving it. I'm feeling a 4 out of 5 on this album. If you've given this a listen, what did you think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? And that's it. I am Caspa. I am your plug. Show me love. Hit me with a sub. Hit me with a comment, even if it's some nonsense. Caspa, Xiu Xiu. Till we meet again.